Hello and welcome back to Glorious Reacts. Before we begin, I'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm Paul, the Singapore Sling, and joining me tonight are my friends, the Thunder from Down Under, Arnold,
Hello!
and my other good friend, the Thriller from Manila, Joel.
Hey guys.
Why does he get a screaming introduction? Doesn't matter, it's okay.
Thunder from Down Under.
Oh, thank you.
So tonight we join retired Avenger Clint Barton, also known as Hawkeye, as he attempts the most challenging mission of his career, getting back to his family before Christmas. Oh, for Christmas. Because it's not gonna be before.
No.
It's obviously.
It's gonna be right in time.
So before we continue, I just wanna make it clear to the audience this is not a spoiler-free show. We never do spoiler-free shows for series.
Oh no, no we don't. It's too much work.
Just to make it clear to everyone, this is not a spoiler-free show. And with that out of the way, let's get right into it. Tonight, Clint and Kate escape the tracksuit mafia and they meet a new face. And we just know her as Maya. We get her backstory. Alright, it's part of the episode. And Clint and Kate, after escaping, they investigate further into the connections between the tracksuit mafia and the death of Armand Duquesne. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
It's Duquesne. It's Duquesne, right?
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
Nice.
all right.
So, how about we start off with Arnold?
Sure thing. All right. So interesting episode. It's actually more of. So we're now in the middle of the series because this is a very very short series, right? We only have 6 episodes to look forward to. So we're now in the middle, and we get introduced to a new character. A character we've actually been introduced to about several weeks ago when they did the Disney Plus Day. When we saw one of the title cards for the new TV series that are coming out, and everybody was like, "What? Who's that?" So we have Echo! Yay!
Echo.
It'll be hard to avoid trying to do an echo every time we say her name. It's Maya Lopez, our she is deaf, right? Is she deaf?
She's
No,
deaf.
she's
Yeah.
deaf. Yeah,
She's there.
she's deaf. And interestingly enough, and this one I wasn't sure, so it doesn't seem to be the case in the comics, but she's also an amputee.
Amputee. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is this something in the comics as well? No, right?
I don't know.
Okay,
I
so
don't
idea.
know.
this seems to be so. She's both an amputee, so she has a titanium leg which she can use to good effect. I really like how they set up Maya in this episode. We were introduced to her at the end of the previous episode, obviously with her hands over the speakers, she's trying to commune with the speaker
The
gods.
jazz hands.
She was I initially didn't know what her ability was. I had to look her
And
up.
actually, it hasn't been really shown yet, right?
After
Sort of. In her backstory, it was
in her
sort of
backstory, yes. And I had to look it up actually because it wasn't completely obvious.
shown.
But it turns out Maya's is what Taskmaster was supposed to be.
Should have been in the Black Widow movie.
The Black
Oh,
Widow movie. Yeah.
It's muscle memory.
She has muscle
Yes.
reflexes apparently.
Oh,
She has muscle
nice.
reflexes, but I don't
Yes.
know what the difference it is with Taskmaster to that effect.
I think they're just exactly the same.
They were
And-
called differently.
And if I've read somewhere that she was actually also trained by Taskmaster.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Okay,
Nice.
that's an interesting overlap. We've got
Yeah.
Natasha with her connections with Taskmaster, who survived, by the way. Spoiler alert. And Clint Barton, who has now connections with Maya. And I just really, I wanted to say that even if it seems like she's the villain, part of the villain group. She's she's the current head of the tracksuit mafia. She's the boss, despite being
Well, the sub boss.
the sub boss. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, under Uncle.
Under
The uncle.
under
No, not the uncle, just Uncle.
Yeah.
Right.
And but she seems to be one of the youngest. She looks extremely young compared to the bros.
Yeah, the other bros except for Kaji.
Except for Kazi.
Kazi or Kazi.
Yeah, well,
Kazi.
Kazi, but
Who
who's the
Yeah,
translator of some sort.
I've checked some other breakdown videos, and it seems as if in her backstory, the kid that she actually sees getting whooped
Yeah.
is supposedly the young Kazi.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh.
That would be a nice setup. So this one this one even furthers my appreciation of Maya. So even if she's been set up as opposed to Kate and Clint at this point in time, they've set her up, at least from my point of view, they set her up to be a very likable character. Somebody you just don't completely forget after the next 4 episodes when the series is over. I mean, granted, we haven't had very forgettable bad guys in the TV series. I'm trying to see if we've forgotten
Yeah,
anybody.
no,
No,
I don't. Yeah.
what do you call this? U.S. agent is actually still there. I still remember him.
Yeah.
Zemo
And
obviously
he's,
wasn't
I
too
don't
much
think
of
he's
a
a
Zemo.
bad
Zemo.
guy. I mean, US agent.
Well, he was set up that way. What I'm saying
Yeah.
is that all of the TV
The antagonist.
The
Okay, let's go with
antagonists.
Antagonist, okay.
have been set up to be very memorable.
Yep.
Even freaking Agatha Harkness, for example, or in Loki. Who's the bad guy in Loki? Anyways, himself.
Loki.
The bad
You can't
guy's
really
time.
say it's bad guy's time right now. This minutes.
No,
Um,
it's Loki.
And see, we still remember Sylvie, for example. And I think that Maya is going to be set up in such a way also that she will be very likable, but not because she will remain a bad guy throughout, but I think she's being set up to have some sort of turn of heart, because she seems to be the type of character who wears her heart on her sleeve. She follows principles a certain way because she seems to be brought up by her father in a way that is not completely devious or extremely sinister. So I think there will be that change. And so far she does act. So far I've seen things that she's done as, not necessarily good. Although we haven't seen her actually do a crime. But it seems like we will be set up. It will be set up so that we can understand why she's doing it. Maybe she's been put in a position where she has no choice, or it's because her principles. She's been brought up a certain way. When we meet Uncle, whoever Uncle is, and I have a few things to say about Uncle.
We have a lot of ideas.
Yep.
I mean, we have one definite idea who
One
it is.
big definite idea that I'm extremely excited for is
hoping it's true.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well, there have
Makes
been
total
some
sense.
proofs.
Let us hold off to that excitement.
Yeah.
because we're clearly we're all on the same page when that comes to that. But I think when we meet Uncle, we will encounter the force that's probably pushing her towards this side of the good bad spectrum. But she may get into that situation where she can make a decision that is completely based on her. After she's discovered a few more things about the reality of everything. So I really like how she is being set up. And the second thing I wanted to
No,
point out,
before that, let me jump in. I really do like the fact that they introduced yet another differently abled character. It goes back to the recurring what do you call this? Recurring imagery that they're showing with the series. Like, this isn't your shiny superheroes and supervillains. These are your down to earth. These are the people who have been through a lot. Like, you've got your main character Hawkeye, who's deaf because of everything that he's gone through. Well, not deaf, but hard of hearing.
yes, correct. That is the point.
Yeah, he's hard of hearing.
He's hard of hearing.
And because of everything that he's gone through in all of those years with the Avengers, right? And then we introduce a character who comes in, who's also sort of gone through similar. Well, I'm assuming it's something that she got from birth, right? That she has this. She's deaf, and then she even probably her amputated leg. It's a good thing to remind the viewers that this isn't about your shiny superheroes who have shields and whatever, but these are the people who work from from down down up, right?
Yes, yes.
These are your street level superheroes.
Street level is a good word. It's a good word.
Yeah.
And when 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 it comes to Hawkeye, he's always been defined as the guy with a bow and arrow,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he actually says that himself in Age of Ultron. Look at me, we're fighting an army of robots, and I have a bow and arrow. But obviously, he's been a very big part of the Avengers, and he's proven himself in a lot of instances. And this is where my second point comes in. Kate is obviously a very big fan of of Hawkeye.
Is she a marketing major in
I don't know.
college?
She seems like it. She's really selling it, and quite literally, because this is the second time I've actually heard her say that your problem is branding. And
Yeah.
It's because she was inspired when she was little girl.
and she wants to what do you call this, to what's the word, to elevate Hawkeye into the same echelon as the other
Captain
Avengers.
America.
Because she thinks highly of him.
Yes, and she thinks that other people ought to think highly of him as well, because it is precisely because he is a normal human person who has just
He's
worked
he
very
would-
hard to increase his skill to the point that he is able to fight alongside the superheroes, right?
No superhero serums.
No superhero serum.
No gamma irradiation.
Yes,
No
no armor,
armors.
no godlike lineage.
No red room treatment.
No red.
Yeah.
To
No
be
red
fair,
room
to be
thing.
fair, Natasha is at the same level as he is. It's just that she wasn't brainwashed when she was little
Yeah.
to fight a certain way. But she obviously has skills that I would assume that Hawkeye, being an agent of Shield, has some similar skills, right? Maybe not as good as interrogation, but
Yeah. Yeah.
so this branding sequence, I really like it because
That,
she's
that
pushed
coffee
it to
shop
the
episode, that coffee shop
coffee
conversation.
shop napkin. It was like, right, yes. They have yet again found a way to make fun of the comic book
The
versions.
old costume.
Old costumes.
The comic,
This
what do you call
seems
it?
like
The
a
comic
running-
book accurate
Yeah.
costume.
This seems like an running trope.
Yep.
Because they've done it in several times. They've done it in Luke Cage.
WandaVision.
They've done it. But to be fair, in WandaVision,
In
they weren't
WandaVision.
really making fun of it
Yeah.
per
No,
se.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Because
They're saying the origins of the
costume.
costume.
Right?
Yeah.
And in Wanda, at the very least, Wanda wore it because she wanted, and she explained it. This
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
this is a
It has historical
Sokovian-
background.
This is a Sokovian witch, what? Or something like that. And then the one that made fun of it was Vision, and decided to wear shorts that went up to his chest. But I mean, everything else usually is the case. I mean, X-Men was well known for, Wolverine was well known for saying, "I'm never."
What do you
gonna wear
expect? Yellow spandex?
Exactly, right? And so they've been doing this a lot, but this is the first time. And then they come back to it again. And actually, it was like, I never understood why he had Wolverine like helmet thingies, that thingy,
Mm.
because Wolverine actually had that look, that band.
Because
around
he's
the
like
eyes.
a hawk. Those are
Yeah,
like his
hawk.
wings.
The wings,
Actually,
the wings.
the first time I actually got it.
Because wings, hawk eye,
Yeah, Hawkeye.
and his eye.
Exactly.
And
so
the
this is
H.
first time.
And the H.
Yeah.
This is the H going on his head just so that they remember that it's him.
That he's
yeah,
yeah, that's the first letter of his name. And the reason why he's colored purple is because in the comics, Hawkeye started as a villain, and back then the
Villains
color
always
scheming
have-
was if you're a villain, you have to wear purple.
This is
Right,
why
yes,
they've
that's
actually
true.
carried this over. We've seen a lot of villains in purple, with the
Yeah.
purple hue. So obviously Hawkeye's backdrop, but he's never had that prior to now, because we've seen it in the marketing of the TV show. He'll eventually get a purple outfit.
Yeah, and
He's
well,
always been
and I think that they've shown a little bit like his main color is aside from black, it's purple. It's like violet.
In the
Uh,
new costume that he's coming up with, right?
no, even I think even
Really?
in the Avengers
I've always
films.
thought that he was just black, and it made more sense because he was
It
an
was
agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I remember it just being tactical,
Yes.
but not having the purple like
Not like bright
Kate.
purple. No,
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. It's
See
like
you from
dark.
far,
It's
far
too dark.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. I'll have a look again. But maybe that is the case. Maybe we already had highlights. And so the branding, I just really like it. I really like how Kate's really pushing hard for this, because you really know that it's sincere. It's coming from the bottom of her heart. She really wants her favorite superhero to be everybody's favorite superhero.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. So we've had a couple of like really good like points. Personally, though, for a very action-packed episode, I found this a little too dull.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was weird. It was a weird experience for me watching this episode. It was dull. Yeah, it had a lot of action, but I guess aside from that conversation between Clint and Nate, nothing really got me in this episode. Yeah, that scene when Kate was translating for Clint.
That was very strong,
Uh,
very poignant.
yeah, because I mean the first two episodes gave us that. Gave us those poignant scenes. They gave us those that storytelling that was really strong. And then for this one, okay, they needed to put in the charger. They needed to get that parallel with the comic book. Although they didn't ride the charger, which was their vehicle in the comic book. But they needed to put that in. They needed to put in the trick arrows. I liked the Pym arrow.
No, 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 no. Okay, the Pym arrow was great, but actually having a use for the plunger arrow, that was awesome.
I really
That was
Yeah.
like,
now I understand
Yeah.
the plunger arrow.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Although I think that also came up in the comic book. But yeah, the plunger arrow. Yeah. But for me, the experience. I probably I was my expectations were set up by the first two episodes, having all of those connections to family and really, really pushing that's what Paul said. That's his main mission,
Mm,
to get home to his family before Christmas.
mm.
Right, so we really they put that aside. They just had that one bit, the conversation with Nate, but other than that, this really focused a lot more on action, on pushing the plot of them trying to find out who actually killed Armand Duquesne.
Yep, the connections.
Yeah, all of those things, and yeah, them finally getting Clint to meet Jack Duquesne, who was his mentor. Yeah, and I've seen some other theories out there that might make might make episode 4 interesting.
Yeah, maybe he actually knows Jack, right? So maybe he
That's one
actually
of the
does
theories.
personally
Yeah.
know Jack. No,
Yeah.
okay. So you've mentioned that scene where we had Kate translate the phone call
Mhm.
between him and his youngest son Nate. Nate.
Nathan. Yeah.
So
Nathaniel.
But what across the whole episode though, I don't know if you guys noticed. What I liked about it is there are moments where we get to see the introduction of Maya, right?
Mhm.
And there were moments where Ronin was running through all the tracksuit mafia in the office scene,
Yep.
and we don't hear anything. It was just pure silence.
Yes,
And
this was the point of view of Maya, I think.
Yeah.
from the
because,
point
yeah,
exactly,
point of view
and
of mine.
we also get that point of view thing with Hawkeye, where he hears and then suddenly it's gone.
Yep.
And that was pretty cool. I really like that. That
That sequence.
small bits and pieces, because especially when that with the scene with Maya and her uncle and her father, you don't hear anything else, right? It's just silence. But you hear the sound, the background music that they play, it was very, very like it gave life to the scene. And so it kind of, there was a scene where I actually felt it was, oh, it's Christmas. And that was where they're in the
When he dove into the balls.
No. The when they I think it was they entered the penthouse, Kate's
Uh-huh.
house, Kate's
Oh yeah,
club,
because they
and they
they
played
played,
Nutcracker.
yeah, Nutcracker. They
Yeah,
did
it
it
was like
twice. They did it twice. They played,
Christmas. So I
yeah.
mean, I never thought about the smallest impact, like the sound, the music
Oh yes.
in the TV shows,
Mm.
because we always mention it in movies. But here,
Mm-hmm.
I it kind of it was a bigger aspect of it,
I
because
have to.
and I'm guessing it's big. Is it? I think it's because you have deaf and someone who's
Hard
deaf
of
and
hearing.
someone's hard of hearing and someone who's completely deaf,
Yes.
Mm.
and I guess it's a form of a way to impart to the audience some some something other than the visuals. So I found it pretty cool.
No, that's definitely the case. I just have to highlight, by the way, in terms of music, the TV shows have been very good at that. Um, if you remember,
Mm.
we never
Yeah.
covered WandaVision
Loki.
yet,
Oh yeah.
but the opening and ending, the opening song of the first half of the TV series were different because
Mm.
so the music was very important. It was following the different ages, and in Loki, we were particularly well invested. Well, I was very much invested in the opening and the songs
You
because
were
of
researching lyrics, man.
exactly because they were actually meaning stuff. It was, oh my gosh, that time when we were doing Loki was obviously we were just trying to look
So
for
does the
goals.
Sugar Plum Fairy song
I don't think
figure
so. I
into
don't think so.
into how Hawkeye is like?
I don't think so. Well, the dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. What was the meaning of that? It was something a bit sinister.
I
If
I
I'm not
was
mistaken.
guessing it was just because it's Christmas.
Oh yeah. Maybe it's because of that.
It's just the
I think
season.
maybe we're just we might be looking too much into that.
Too much into it. Yeah. It was for me. It was
But it's
just
nice.
a show of what season we're in.
Yes.
So that was it. So on to our theories and expectations. Let's start with Joel this time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, for mine, I think it's been shown. They've alluded to it a lot in the episode, but I do think that Echo is going to be instrumental in Clint like upscaling, or leveling up in when it comes to how he adapts to his hearing difficulty. Because yeah, Maya, like what Arnold did say, Maya lives by certain principles. Like she points it out to Clint, like you're too what do you call this, you're too dependent on technology. I get it also alludes to Clint possibly even doing away with the bow and arrow, or doing away with trick arrows, just really focusing on what's necessary. Yeah, because that's that sort of implies that, right, the fact that she took away his hearing aid, and even took the yeah crushed it, and then told him that, okay, you're implying you're depending too much on technology, you should just do with what you have, make do with what you have, right. It also supports the fact that, yeah, Clint does just have a bow and arrow.
Yep.
Yeah, and he doesn't, again, he's not Iron Man, he doesn't have like all of those things. Although, yeah, like what we've mentioned, he does have that Pym arrow.
It
uh
was cute.
no,
I
no,
do.
it's, yeah.
He
Anyway,
did.
the way that they revealed it was pretty cool,
Yeah.
right? Like the focus was all on Clint, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden, right before he lets loose, you see it's Pym.
Yeah.
Ooh, and it's
Exactly.
blue.
You get
Ooh,
the he has the one that makes it go big.
yeah.
And obviously after that discussion with Maya, so she destroys the hearing aid,
Hmm.
and then Hawkeye just has this ballet of pain, wherein he just in such a closed area, he was able to shoot people with arrows, right?
Mm.
And not only that, he shot them with non-trick arrows. These are normal arrows.
Yep.
I don't think he killed anybody.
No.
Yeah,
Doesn't look like.
I saw like a
Poor guy.
what do you call this? I saw a show that said that I think it was New Rockstars. The tip on the arrow actually is non-lethal.
Okay.
Means that it's non-lethal.
Right. Okay. It's
Because
the
I think it's
circular one,
tapered.
right? The one that
Yeah,
looks
it's
like
It's
such a
the one
kind
that
of
you can easily
pull
pull out.
out. It's not an
yeah,
arrowhead. It's more of like circular, like a cylinder.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it just goes right through if ever. The worst thing is that you'll be obviously impaled to a wall or probably something like that.
Yeah,
Didn't
which he
stop
did
Na-
to
Maya.
like the hand of one of the guys.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Maya had two. She was holding.
Yeah,
it was holding
but one guy, one of the
Oh, yeah.
tracksuit
His
mafia
arm.
guys had his hand like on the column.
on the column, and so obviously with unhampered by that hearing aid, he was able to, I guess, unhampered by the distraction of whatever's around, except for it just had his instinct and his skill take over. He actually was able to perform just like an Avenger during his
Mhm.
Avenger days, right? And,
Yeah, if I may add on, it sort of like goes to that's probably how Maya does uses her skill. Like she doesn't have any distractions. She just goes by muscle memory.
Yeah.
Right. You don't really you don't think, you just do. Right. And because she's been trained ever since she was a tiny wee little baby, she has all of that muscle memory in that mind of hers. So it's so easy for her to just see things and then okay, this is how it happens. Okay,
yeah,
this is how it
she
goes.
focuses obviously without that
Yeah.
distraction. She's able to focus. Very much similar to
Yeah.
Matt Murdock, Daredevil, which I
Yeah.
have something to say again
Speaking of
later on.
Daredevil.
Okay.
Oh no! Oh
Perfect
no!
timing for us to get into.
Someone cued it. Someone
my-
cued it.
Speaking of Daredevil,
Dude,
Arnold,
All right, so
your,
my very
your
first. This is
theory, man.
obviously. Thank you for giving this to me. This is obviously the thing that the three of us have been mentioning in the beginning. Uncle
The cheek
needs
pinching
to
uncle.
be. I guess it has to be Kingpin, right? It has to be Kingpin.
Mhm.
And then you get that you hear him, and then you see the cuff,
The cufflink,
right?
yeah, the cufflink,
and the laugh.
the laugh.
needs to be it, and it needs to be Vincent D'Onofrio, right?
Well,
Okay.
well, I think it really is gonna be because actually, if you've checked out the new Rockstars breakdown video, they played that laugh beside
Of course.
Vincent D'Onofrio's actual laugh,
Yep.
and they sound exactly the same.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the thing. This is the thing. Now there are two things why it makes total sense for Kingpin to be Uncle. One is that is the case in the comics.
Yeah, he is the one who trains
Maya's
or gets
father
Maya trained.
was actually partnered with Kingpin, and when he dies, because he dies for Kingpin kills him unfortunately. The foster father for Maya is Kingpin, right? So that makes total sense for them to bring that concept into the story here in Hawkeye. And then Joel did mention earlier that Maya, and in fact Hawkeye as well to a certain extent. Oh well, no, Maya primarily is a street level character, right? Very much similar to so a street level character, and which means that if I'm not mistaken, Maya comes from Hell's Kitchen, so which brings in something else, right? Kingpin's obviously very interested in that area, and then obviously expands. We saw that in Daredevil. And speaking of Daredevil, when it comes to Hell's Kitchen and street level superheroes, Daredevil, actually no, Spider-Man's the first thing you'd think, but Daredevil is probably the next one because Spider-Man's way up there already.
Yeah, but I mean, Daredevil is from Hell's Kitchen.
He is from Hell's Kitchen, exactly. So I'm starting to see with Kingpin coming in, and if we do see D'Onofrio, we will see it seems like Maya is the perfect connection to set up bringing in the Defenders, well, two of them at the very least, into the MCU. We have
Two of them. Who's the other one?
Luke Cage.
Oh,
The other one was and I only say this because Matt Murdock actually has a relationship with Maya Lopez in the comics. So there's and they're coming from the same place, and we have Kingpin in tow, who else can you bring in when Kingpin is responsible? Of course, Spider-Man. But I mean, putting him aside, he's big enough as in the MCU at the moment. Let's bring in good old Matt Murdock. Let's bring in, and now the other reason why I say Luke
Foggy
Cage
Nelson.
is because Luke Cage and Maya also teamed up in the comics. Actually, even Elektra, those guys, they team up. No word on Jessica Jones or, interestingly enough, Iron Fist. But yeah,
Can you imagine a Shang-Chi Iron Fist matchup or combo?
He's like, I have key. No,
I don't think Iron Fist is gonna have anything.
Wash their
Anything.
hands of
It's
that.
not even gonna be close match.
Oh, you reckon?
I think.
What if like you know Shang-Chi like releases the 10 rings and then Iron Fist uses the Iron Fist and then the Iron Fist merges with the
Smashes.
10 rings.
Oh, okay.
Right?
The
So
Iron
it's
10
now
rings.
the Iron 10 rings. The
Okay.
10 iron rings.
He's just gonna use that. He's just gonna do what his mother taught him, and then just uses his force against him.
Exactly.
True.
So
But then again,
the
doesn't,
counter to the
doesn't,
Iron Fist
Jessica
is
Henwick's
Tai Chi.
character also do that?
Who? Oh, I don't know. Can she?
Oh, Colleen.
Yeah.
Can she? Can she do the
Well, no, because now she does the Matrix.
All right, we're relating.
We're like,
I
"Woo."
wouldn't mind though, seeing the entirety of the Defenders coming in, because that means also it brings in the Hand. It brings in so many different interesting things that have been kind of locked away in that little segment of Netflix lore.
The Netflix
Netflix TV
the
series.
Netflix multiverse.
And then, so we finally bring them in. Another side thing that I wanted to point out was that apart from Matt Murdock as a potential bow to Maya, and Maya in the comics has also been known to be related, to be linked up with Mark Spector, who we're still looking forward to in the coming years. When
You
Moon
mean
Knight-
Dameron Poe? Poe Dameron? Poe Dameron.
Oh damn it.
when he comes to the streaming service as well. So it's interesting that one character, which probably prior to here nobody ever knew, right, has the potential of actually pulling in all of these franchises into the MCU, because obviously the way that we can link him up is because Clint, Hawkeye, who is a big MCU character, is also this is his show, effectively. Well, no, it's Kate's show, but I mean, you know what I mean.
Wow. So Arnold is really hoping for the whole Netflix Defenders team getting pulled into the MCU. Officially getting pulled into the MCU.
I wouldn't mind seeing them in the
And we have rumors of Matt Murdock appearing in No Way Home. Rumors.
yeah.
That's one of the older rumors. I'm starting to think that's not
Yeah.
gonna happen, but hey.
All
Too many
right.
rumors. Like you've got Matt Murdock, you've got Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, you've got Tobey Maguire
So,
Spider-Man.
but we're pretty okay. Never mind. I mean, that's another discussion for
Yep.
another day.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. My discussion question, and please keep it short. And we've actually
If you
touched-
wanted a short answer, you should have just gone to your first question.
no.
I had like a very
No.
short answer.
we have we touched on this question a while back. What are the chances? Do you both of you think, what are the chances that Clint actually knows and was taught by Jack Duquesne in
Jack
this
Duquesne.
specific series?
Let me try.
Go ahead, Thunder.
So obviously, thank you. The closest I could actually associate it with is his Ronin character, because Ronin fights with a sword, and we know that Jack
Yes.
Duquesne is, as Joel's already pointed out, is the swordsman. Kate's already proven that this version of Jack Duquesne has been hiding skills when it comes to swordsmanship, and what better cliffhanger in this current episode, wherein we see the Ronin sword put up against Clint's neck, right? So I think that it's quite possible that his swordsmanship training came from Jack. Now, how? Why? I'm having trouble figuring that one out. It could be a long because Clint seems to be a very middle class kind of guy, right? And he doesn't seem to be the type of character who has a lot of rich friends. He seems to be turned off by them. He doesn't really have a very um, his relationship with guys like Tony Stark, for example, seems like he's just doesn't enjoy his company. Well, then again, Clint is such a dour, closed, almost stoic character that he doesn't.
Yeah, Kate pointed that out, right?
Right, exactly. He doesn't seem to be the type of guy who makes a lot of friends. So I don't know how he would actually be related to.
I actually have a sort of idea.
Go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
go.
Okay, so yeah. Again, we've seen all of the breakdown videos. At least I have. And they make a specific point of the episode going to black before we see Clint actually looking directly at Jack Duquesne. So they leave that up to the audience to think that, okay, we still don't know if they actually know each other, but I'm sure that they do. And I do believe that Arnold is correct, that Jack is the guy who trained Clint in terms of swordsmanship. And if we remember in the first episode, he showed a very keen interest in bidding for precisely the Ronin costume and Ronin sword, right? Kate stole the Ronin costume, so but Jack was able to pick up the Ronin sword and put it in his coat. And the reason I think that is because, okay, this goes back to theories. He was Ronin before Clint was Ronin.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that a lot.
And this was also already mentioned in some of the breakdown videos, right?
Yes.
And I think that there is they may have crossed each other's paths in the 5 years of the snap. That could have happened there, or it may have even happened prior. Jack might have been a shield agent at one point in time. And then he would have been the one to train Clint Barton in swordsmanship even during that time. So either during that, before Avengers, while Clint was still just an unnamed shield agent pointing an arrow at Thor, or it may have been in the 5 years. In those 5 years, Clint probably, because he was he was devoid of hope, so he clung to a bad influence, and it's not necessarily because he's rich, but it's because he has that the other side of the Duquesne legacy, right? So that's how Jack was able to bring in Clint, teach him how to become Ronin, how to become the swordsman, and that's why we have this again. They're tying up that end. Right? How they get to know each other, why Jack has a keen interest on the Ronin. Yeah,
That's cool.
All right, so that's it for us on tonight's episode. Hawkeye is currently streaming on Disney Plus every Wednesday.
Yep.
Every Wednesday. I don't know what time. You just figure it out. If you're not currently watching it, what are you doing? You're supposed to be watching it. You're supposed to be watching every single thing on Disney Plus because you're all MCU
every
fans.
single thing.
No. I mean the MCU specific ones.
Okay.
Why? Why not?
Careful
Why
what
not?
you suggest. Jungle Cruise.
So, what?
Nothing.
So that's it from us. I wanna thank my two co-hosts for their inputs on tonight's episode, and until next time, see you guys.
Bye.